Welcome back to the Urban Monk. I am here with a new friend today, and we're going to talk about something very interesting. If you have ever thought about starting over after bottoming out, you're in for a treat. Natalie Jill, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Great to see you. So, you have a very interesting history, a rocky road, if you will, and you've come from there to a very interesting, amazing place. And so you had some challenges.
Yes.
And with those challenges, you had a choice to either alchemize and step through, or to wallow and identify and sink.
Exactly.
So give me a little bit of backstory here.
Sure. Okay. Well, the backstory, the truth of it is, I originally was somebody I would have described as very self-righteous. I thought, everybody should be able to have a successful career. Nobody should ever be in debt. Everyone should have this perfect life. You just have to try and do it. And I had this attitude about it, and I feel like the universe had a different message for me because everything shifted when I was in my mid-30s. I was married, and I had what would have probably looked like to most people the perfect life. I had the nice neighborhood with the picket fence, the husband. I was pregnant, and I was working at a high-powered corporate job, and my world was crumbling, and no one would have known on the outside. And it taught me this big lesson because I feel like so many people, and me included at the time, we try to fit this mold that we're supposed to be. It's fake. You think you're supposed to have this type of job and this type of marriage and this type of house and look this certain way, and there's really no depth to it, and it's phony. And I never thought of it that way. I was always try to keep up with the Joneses and fit in. And what happened was I was married, and I was in a really rocky place with my marriage. And he had been my best friend, and we were no longer best friends. And it was right at the time when the stock market was crashing, the housing market crashed. I was pregnant, knew I was going to have to take a voluntary job demotion because I was going to be a mom and I couldn't travel full time. And everything that I once knew started to crumble. I had this big house I put my life savings in, and all of a sudden I couldn't afford my mortgage. My savings was pretty much gone, and I was that person back in that time that was house poor. And I was embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody because I looked on the outside like this perfect, happy person, and I wasn't. So things started whittling away, and nobody knew, and I was just really sad about it. And what happened was, while I was pregnant, I kept eating and eating and eating as a comfort thing, and not eating healthy food, eating junk, McDonald's and French fries, just comfort food.
Did you look fit at the time too?
At one point before I was pregnant, I did, but pregnant, I was gaining a lot of weight. I gained 50 pounds when I was pregnant, which was 65 more than I am now, which I'm 5'2", and that's little, and it was a lot of weight on me. Yeah. And I was eating junk, so I was adding to my depression and misery. So I had my daughter, and I remember thinking this is supposed to be the happiest time of my life, and it was the saddest time. Not because my daughter was there, I was happy about that, but because I knew I couldn't stay in my marriage anymore. I knew I couldn't afford my house. I knew I didn't have a savings, and I was scared. I was really scared, and I remember, there's a day that I remember so clearly, and it was when I was walking my baby in the stroller and my two dogs, and I caught a glimpse of myself in one of those reflections, the windows where you see a mirror, and I just didn't recognize myself. I thought, who is this chunky, depressed, bags under my eyes person? And wow, I don't have any real people in my life, because anyone that looks at me right now wouldn't know how sad I am. They would think, oh, she's got this perfect life. She's got these labs and this baby and this house. And what they didn't know was that I was sad. I was feeling unhealthy. I was scared. I was alone. I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. I didn't know how I was going to pay for my house. I didn't know what I was going to do for work because I knew I couldn't travel anymore and keep this same corporate job. And I remember feeling just really this rock bottom sadness. And I had never experienced depression in my life before that. And I remember that was the first time I'd ever actually felt it. And worse than feeling it is I felt like I was so alone because I had this fake life. Like I didn't have anyone that I could tell what was going on, is what I felt like at the time.
Especially with all the facades of the I'm fine.
Yeah, the tough, like I always had this I'm tough, I can handle it, everybody else has a problem, it's not me. And it was all of a sudden I really had this depression, and I felt really alone. And it just felt funny that I'm going home to this big house, but I can't afford it. Yeah. It felt really funny and phony.
Were you divorced at the time at this point?
I had filed for divorce. So my daughter was a newborn. We had filed for divorce. And I had decided to stop paying for my mortgage because I was house backwards. And I'm someone who had never, ever missed a credit card payment in my life. I had never borrowed money. I had this perfect credit, and I had to make this decision. I can't pay my mortgage right now. I can't do it. And I felt like this failure. Like everything I've talked about and believed in, I'm not doing right now.
And judged.
Yeah, and judged. I didn't want to tell anyone.
Yeah.
And I remember like seeing myself in that reflection and being depressed. And then I remember going to get gas in my car, and this was horrible. I went to put gas in my car, and my credit card was declined. And I'd never in my life had this happen to me. And I was the kind of person who would judge somebody. Like, how can they have bad credit? Or I didn't understand before. And I called, it was American Express, remember I called them and I said, why is my credit card declined? I've never missed a payment in my life. And they said, you're $1.4 million in debt. I was like, what? What do you mean I'm 1.4? How do you have, it was my entire house I was in debt because I hadn't paid for it. My mortgage, I stopped paying. I had to. And I remember just feeling like, what the heck am I gonna do? I've got this baby. I didn't even know what to do. I just felt stuck. I felt stuck.
So here you are. The bullets are flying. You are back against the wall. What are you gonna do? I mean, you got a kid.
Yeah.
You have some options. I mean, you have skills, but joint custody, full custody. I mean, having a kid is kind of a full-time job too.
So we hadn't gone through the arrangement of what that was going to be yet, but that scared me too because I knew that her dad would help, no problem. Like I knew he would share custody, but that scared me too. Like I'm her mom, and I thought that was adding to this. Like I didn't want to not have my baby every day, and what am I going to do here? And if I do my job and I work, then is he going to have her more? And I just had the weight of the world on me. And I remember I stayed in this spot there was a good 3 months of just me being really isolated and depressed. And the only thing that got me up every day was my daughter, just knowing I had this amazing baby here and I had to figure this out. But I really was in circles in my head, like just what was me. And what happened was I had this moment where I had the thought that this is not who I am. This is not who I have ever been. And I'm going to make a decision right now. And I always say the commonality with everyone I've ever met that's transformed anything is they decided. They're like, I decided. And that's what I did. I decided. This is not who I'm going to be. There's a reason this is all happening to me. I'm going to figure it out. And I created a vision board. And a vision board, you might know what it is. A lot of people don't, but I created a vision board. It was just, and I did not filter it. I was just picking out pictures of things that appealed to me. I didn't even know why. I cut out pictures of fit girls, a happy couple, happy family, ocean view, a golf course. I just picked things that made me happy. And I put on this vision board, and I said, if I just look at this vision board every single day and can get that feeling of what that would feel like, maybe that'll start to outweigh my depressed feeling and I can start moving towards this. So I did this vision board and I started researching what do I need to do to get myself back together. And I researched like just basic things like movement, food, like what can I do? I want basic. And there was so much information overload out there. I was always interested in fitness and nutrition, but I didn't even know where to start. I was like, do this diet or that. I was just overwhelmed. But I thought I just need to go to the basics, figure this out, make a list, and look at this vision so I have the feeling every day. And that's what I did. I made a list and I created my vision board and I just started. I decided and I started.
So this isn't like lightning striking, I put up a vision board, now I suddenly feel better.
No.
Right? People kind of fall into thinking, okay, well, all of a sudden one day everything turned around.
No.
I mean, the days kind of still sucked, but you started to turn a corner because of the decision I'm reading.
Totally, the decision. So the thing about vision boards is, it's not hokey pokey. It's not this hocus pocus and you put a vision, it just happens at all. But what it does is it creates that feeling, it generates that feeling, and we move towards feelings. So if you feel happiness or good about something, you're going to want to keep doing that. And when you don't have anything to look at or you don't have that vision, all you're stuck with is your depression and your sadness, and you're reminding yourself of what you don't like in the mirror and all of that, and it just keeps spiraling down. So to me, if I created the feeling, it gave me something to look towards and to feel towards.
Is that the first step? Just stepping into the feeling you would rather be feeling?
I feel the first step with everybody now, no matter what, is you have to decide. And then you have to get that intention out there, and that's through writing and creating a vision and sharing that with people. You have to get that intention out there and be committed to that. But the decision comes first. You have to decide that you're ready to change. Not I'm going to try, or I'm going to think about it, or I wish. It's I've decided I'm going to fix this.
This is it. This is it. I'm stepping into it. So then what starts to unfold?
So what starts to unfold is, for the first time in my life, without even planning it or trying to, I started being really authentic. What do I mean by that? Facebook had just, I just heard of Facebook at the time. This is funny because I have 1.5 million followers on Facebook now, but at the time I had my 50 high school friends. I didn't know anything about Facebook. And I felt I didn't have anyone I could talk to about what I was going through, but if I was going to start moving in the direction of my goals, I needed to be accountable to something. So I started taking pictures of my food every day. So I would make my lunch or my breakfast and I would take a picture, and I started an album on my personal Facebook called What I Eat. And I shared what I was eating. Just real. I didn't care if the picture didn't look perfect. I didn't care what anyone thought. I didn't care if anyone unfriended me.
Wait, so back up. At this point, you're not like a celebrity nutritionist. No. You're not a celebrity fitness person.
No one knew who I was.
No one knows who you are. You're a mom who came from corporate background, and you're putting up pictures of what I eat.
From my BlackBerry.
From your BlackBerry, which is dating us all here now, right? And then people start digging this.
Yeah, they love it. They're asking me, what is this? And I liked the conversation. So I would share, I'm trying to get myself healthy again. This is what I'm eating. And I would post every day my recipes, just an album called What I Eat. And this is before taking food selfies was a thing. It's before it became this joke. I was just doing that. And people were asking, and somebody suggested one day on Facebook, hey, you should make a recipe book. I didn't know anything about making a recipe book. So I said, well, how do I do that? And they said, well, make an ebook. And I remember Googling, what does ebook mean? Electronic book. So without knowing anything, I took all my BlackBerry pictures and I put it on a PDF file, and I decided I was going to charge $12 for it. And I made, I laugh at this now because there's all these sales pages people make now. I just made a little typed up description of what this was, and I posted it on my Facebook. Hey guys, I put my recipes together. $12. Send me to this PayPal link and I'll send it to you. And people started buying it. Well, this was somebody who had no money at the time. I'm struggling financially, and all of a sudden I'm getting little emails, $12 here, $12 there, $50 a day. It's starting to come in. Wow, this is interesting. Still a side money thing. So, but then people start asking, and they're sharing my recipes, and they're asking, how do you put this together to eat healthy? Because you're also showing some pictures of you and your daughter, and you look like you're losing weight. How do you put this together? So I sat down and I made what at the time it's very different than it is now, but I made what was called my 7-day jumpstart. And I wrote out exactly what I told you: how to make a vision board, how to decide, write out your goals, how to build a meal, everything I had learned on my own online about how to eat healthy. And I made a little 7-day plan. And I went back to Facebook and I said, okay, you guys, you said you wanted my plan. Here it is. It's $35. And started selling that. And more followers. And
how are you feeding yourself on kind of your main dig? If you have $12 and $35 coming in here, what was your main job? How are you?
So my main job was still corporate. I had taken a demotion, so my money was definitely a lot less. And I was figuring out how I was going to get out of this house, go rent a place. I was going through this whole process. So I was still making some money, but I was still so in debt that I wasn't getting anywhere yet. Right. So now I'm just focused on how do I get out of my situation and move over someplace. So I have money to come in. I'm not getting rich on it by any means, but these little Facebook sales are helping me see that there's a possibility. I still wasn't looking at it as a career yet. I was just looking at it as this is helping with my confidence right now.
Who are they identifying with? A vulnerable single mom who's being raw, authentic, and honest? Is that?
There were so many people relating to me, and what made this was the gem in the whole thing is when someone would purchase my diet, I wasn't thinking sales, I'm going to get rich on this. It was nothing like that. I was actually really excited when they would write back and say, oh my gosh, I lost 5 pounds. I feel great.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would say, that's amazing. Can I share what you just said? It's going to be encouraging for others. Not even thinking sales, and they'd say, sure. So I would screenshot what they said and I would post it back on Facebook and I'd say, oh my gosh, look at Sally. This made my day. She lost 5 pounds. She feels amazing. This is awesome. Like, who's next? And that literally launched my entire business because I was sharing their story. Other people saw, and it just kept growing.
You inadvertently rode the Facebook
Yes.
wave because Facebook loves that.
Totally.
People love that on Facebook.
Totally. And this wasn't even pictures.
Yeah.
This was like their typed out message to me of what they wrote.
Sure. Awesome. Because at the end of the day, you're helping people.
Yes. And that's all. And I was being myself. I was sharing my vulnerability. I was sharing that I was going through divorce, that I was struggling financially. This meal is inexpensive. You know, I'm sharing things that I was actually doing, and I was being myself. And what was so funny to me is being that authentic and real and not caring what people thought is what launched this whole new life of mine.
Other life.
Yeah, it's like literally 2 chapters. Like I feel like I'm a completely different person than I was in my old corporate world.
So did this start kind of incubating you as someone who's like, holy crap, I better know what I'm talking about. Like I should learn about nutrition. I should do this. Like,
Totally. So I was actually a certified personal trainer and a sports nutritionist, like a certification for it, just from years ago, because I was interested in it. I just always was interested in fitness and nutrition. I just hadn't been applying it to myself until I got back. So when I was learning my own journey, I went back and got recertified on things. And then I went and did a master sports nutrition license. So I got the credentials then so I could feel good giving the advice then too.
Yep.
So I kept going with that. But what's so funny to me now is people think that I was this big fitness nutrition person and that's why I'm doing well with my business. And it's like, no, I came from a completely different place. No one knew me a few years ago. And this grew from that.
I'm real.
Yes.
I'm real. And I'm telling you how I actually struggle. And, you know, you're struggling too. And I get that.
And now it's honestly addictive being real then. Now it's like I always say, when in doubt, just tell the truth. Just be real. Because trying to be what you think you're supposed to be does not work.
So this actually kind of calls back to the early part of our conversation where you're the gal who is ashamed of what they're going to think, right? I don't have the money, I don't have, you know, the and what are they? And so it's like all of this storefront energy, all this bullshit we put energy into trying to worry about that. And that was what TV is, that's what our politicians sound like, and it's exhausting. So you're now flipping the script, being honest, and all of a sudden you have this other like garden starting to grow on this side. Right?
And a huge support network that I could have never imagined. Like people are rooting for me all of a sudden, and I'm rooting for them, and it was fun. You know, I'm thinking I'm helping people, and I'm actually making a little bit of money too. This is amazing.
And at this point, you're still not like, oh, God, this is great. I'm getting rich. This is my career.
No.
I'm just doing this awesome side project. I got my little Etsy store kind of thing, and it's really interesting and it's fun.
Yes.
What is this doing to your depression?
It totally changed it because now I'm not only getting fit and feeling healthy, and that's changing things, but I'm now accountable to other people because I don't want to let them down. You know, I'm helping them get healthy, and I'm sharing. I don't want to be the one that now doesn't work on myself. Like I want to be their cheerleader now. So I start feeling accountable to them. They're feeling accountable to me. The first people I formed this relationship with on Facebook that first found me, like they're my group. You know, I have them in my book coming out. Like I love them because I went through this process with them.
Yeah.
I was changing, and so were they.
They wrote this book with you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. See, so that is so interesting to me because like I always look at people who are down and out and then turn and dedicate their lives to being of service.
Yes.
And it's one of the quickest ways out of depression. It's one of the quickest ways to not identify with the woe is me. I had all these plans in life, and so what?
Yes.
So what? Now look at you. You followed the breadcrumbs, if you will, and you ended up in this really interesting universe. And so, on that note, there's also something to be said about breadcrumbs because I know a little bit about your history. So give me a little bit more about some of the other kind of.
Yeah, so I'm a celiac, and I have been for years, and I knew this before I was pregnant. But I was diagnosed with celiac before gluten was trendy. You know, nobody knew what gluten was. I used to carry a little cart around to restaurants explaining what it was because it was in everything. So I knew I had learned about gluten-free, and gluten is it's the protein found in wheat, rye, and barley. And I'm a celiac, so my body doesn't recognize it. So I'd have a bad immune response to it if I have it. That also contributes to depression and a lot of other things. But that's why I always think it's funny when people say they're going on a gluten-free diet to lose weight, because it depends on what that means. Because you could eat a gluten-free diet full of junk, because gluten-free processed food is still high in sugar and the wrong foods, and it doesn't mean it's healthy for you. Just like you could have an unhealthy vegan diet, or there's different spectrums.
Sure.
So when I was
eating gluten-free but gaining weight and depressed, I was not eating a healthy diet at that point.
Right. So that's really like saying like, oh, I'm sugar-free, so I drink Diet Coke, so therefore I'm healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just the whole
Doesn't
thing
mean
becomes
anything.
crap.
Yeah.
So what I love about this is it's so homegrown, right? It comes from you hitting rock bottom, looking at your baby and being like, Mama Bear's got to keep fighting.
Totally.
Right? And then, being depressed and, gaining weight and having struggles with, your foods and all that, that's not helping you get out of your mess. So you really had to pick up and get out of it. So then what became your gestalt? Like what became your plan with this?
Then I have to give credit to my now husband, because I met him going through a lot of this. And because I fast forwarded a lot of this together now, but when the 7-day jumpstart started getting some traction, and I was getting all these things, he is what I call a modifier. So he saw me sending all these emails and sending, having to get home because I have an email notification that someone paid $35 for this thing and I have to send it to them. And he was great at coming in and helping me to figure out a process. Like, okay, how can we automate this? How can we make this a little bit better? So that was the first that was like the next big jump. Like, okay, let's get this automated, which helps me have a little bit more time to think through what I want to do with this. Because before it was literally just me getting an order and sending out an email, and now I was falling into this process, but I wasn't going to be able to expand or grow. So I automated things. And then I think that as my confidence was coming back and my depression was going away, my strong assets started coming back. So my ability to listen to problems and come up with a solution was really starting to shine. So now I'm really developing my audience and listening to what they want. And I started creating more products for them. Because people would tell me, I love your jumpstart, I had great results, what's next? So I would create the next thing for them. It's really funny because my whole social media was initially built on fat loss and meals, recipes. And if you look at it now, it's a lot of workouts. That evolved just from people asking me, what's
next? You got to get moving.
Yes.
So at this point, were you a fitness enthusiast that had gotten back up off your butt and you were actually doing stuff?
Yes, I was, but I wasn't sharing a lot of that yet on social media. But as I'm having people get great results with my nutrition plans and my recipes, now they're saying, how do you exercise? And they're telling me the problems. I don't have money for a gym, which I understood. I have little kids at home. I can't get out. I haven't worked out well. I understood everything they were coming from. So I came to the solution. I would offer solutions. I'd say, well, let's do it at home. Let's do a workout at home. Let's use a chair. Let's get creative. Can we do something in 5 minutes? I would look at these other trainers on social media that would say, oh, unless you do an hour of this and heavy weights. And it was so intimidating. And I knew what it was like to be in that depressed, overwhelmed, overweight spot. And I thought, these women don't want to go to a gym and spend an hour when they don't know what they're doing.
They don't even have time. They got kids at home.
But let me show them 5 minutes of something they could do that's going to really make a difference and help them get stronger. Bam. So I started doing that. And my business just started growing. The more I listened to people and connected with them and helped them find a solution to what they were presenting, the more they changed, the more my business grew.
Sure. So that's the wonderful, virtuous feedback loop that is available now through social media and kind of new media, which is it's a two-way conversation. And your audience is asking you for what you want, and they're asking you to develop and kind of grow into being the person they need you to be for them.
Exactly. So many people ask me about social media and how to start a business online, and they want to come up with this whole elaborate plan and this product they want to develop. And I'm thinking, you're going about this completely wrong. You're missing it, because you need to develop your audience first. You need to, and just being real, because you need to find out who likes you and wants to relate to you first, and then find a solution you can help to a problem that they have.
How to
because
serve.
Just coming up with a product and then saying you're going to go build an audience around it is a lot more challenging, and it's not as authentic.
So how do you keep people accountable? Because that, is really the biggest challenge with nutrition, with fitness, with all of it, right? It's one thing to have a New Year's resolution. It's another thing to work out all year.
So there's a couple steps that I tell people, no matter what, if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to get stronger, if you're trying to change your relationship, if you're trying to grow your business, there's a process you have to go through. One is deciding. 2 is creating that vision and establishing your goals. 3 is you have to be accountable, but when you're accountable, it's not just to somebody else, it's to yourself. If you are not accountable to yourself, then it's not going to ever happen. And what that means to me and what I've taught people that buy my programs for it to mean to them is accountability to yourself means you're not going to blame anybody anymore for anything, period. There's no excuses, because that's true accountability. You have to own it. I'm overweight because, not because this person, because what did you do to contribute to that?
Including my celiac, my thyroid,
Yes.
my medical
your
diagnosis.
financial situation,
Yep.
your whatever. You have to take, because if you keep that blame game going, all you're doing is trying to convince other people of why your excuses are valid. It's not going to help you change.
Right.
But as soon as you take that accountability and you own it, that's when things start to change.
Great.
So how do I keep them accountable? I tell them if they want to work with me, or before they even agree to do my programs, they need to make that decision that there's no more excuses. Because I'll help you find a solution, but you have to decide your role. You have to own up to that you had a role in this.
What percentage of people bounce at those gates?
Well, I won't ever really fully know, because they're out of my conversation once they start doing that. I say,
That's
are you trying to convince me why your excuses are valid, or are you ready to do this?
Yeah.
And I don't let people in my circle unless they're ready to do that, because it distracts me too.
Great. It's really funny. I was just having this conversation about meditation, and everyone's like, 90% of all chronic disease is because of stress. Right? And then we have everyone that's like, oh yeah, we're stressed out, we're stressed out. It's like, oh, well, we have this thing for that. It's called meditation. You should try it. Oh yeah, I've heard of that, but I'm not going to do it.
Yes.
It's like, well then, I'm sorry.
Then just be stressed.
Yeah,
right?
then be a lazy asshole. Like, you have to do something to help yourself, right?
Totally.
And so for you, it's like you're drawing that line, and I really respect that, because at the end of the day, you're not the one getting anyone fit. And you're not the one going grocery shopping for them, and you're not the one cooking their meals.
No. The other one, I give so much free content on social media. I mean, 99% of what I share is just free content that I put a lot of time into generating. So when someone says they can't afford my program, it's like, but I give all this stuff for free. That's again, not being accountable to yourself. There's Google. I mean, anyone can go on Google and get the information. That's what I did.
Right.
So I believe there's really no excuse. I'm not saying it's not going to be harder for some or take longer or be more challenging, but I'm just saying there is a way for everybody to improve and become a better version of them.
Yeah.
But they have to be accountable first.
And you're seeing, as people become better versions of them, they become better parents, better citizens.
Better everything. Better everything. You know, I feel my best when I'm not just, I don't want to toot my horn, but when I'm helping empower others to become their better them, you know, whether that's fitness, nutrition, business, whatever it is, that's when I feel my best, and it puts me in a good mood and it gives me a purpose.
Yeah.
And so I think it improves things across the board.
Yeah. I mean, you think of the family. I'm assuming most of your demographic would be women, but maybe I'm wrong. Like,
it's most, I have everything.
Sure.
I definitely have everything, but I would say the person that relates to me the most is typically a middle-aged female that is 20 to 50 pounds overweight and going through, has hit a bottom spot.
Stuff.
Yeah, has stuff going on.
Got it. Kids, no kids, family, no family, something like
A
all
little bit
of
of
it.
both. I mean, I definitely have a broad audience, but the moms, because that's the other thing. I mean, I'm 44. I am a mom. I went through a divorce. I have real things that happen, and I share it. And people like that, because I think people get very tired of the Photoshop 20-year-old talking about how no excuses, because they're thinking,
come on, you're 20.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think that's encouraging for people, because they see that it is possible.
Yeah. And what people don't see with these Instagram stars is that perfect picture that they got was like one of 50 takes.
Exactly.
And it's completely a facade as
Totally.
well. And we've seen a lot of that kind of trending in the
And it
media.
helps, and that's one of the things I always advise people too that are going through a depression too, is you have to social media cleanse. Because social media can be really powerful, but it also can really bring you down. So I don't like to follow anyone that makes me feel bad about myself. So, you know, I think you follow things that are motivating and encouraging for you and make you feel motivated, encouraged, excited, happy. If it's making you feel bad about yourself, you don't want to follow them. And I don't want anyone following me if my stuff makes them feel bad about themselves.
Yeah, I'm not your person. So one of the things that kind of happens that I find to be this wonderful ripple effect is you're helping these wonderful people who have kind of hit rock bottom come back up and out and feel better about themselves and go. But like, say they have kids, say they have spouses, say they have careers. This starts to then ripple into all these other facets of their lives, because they have the energy, they have the vitality to actually step up. I mean, look at you. You're rock bottom, now you're helping all these people.
Yes.
So that kind of contagious ripple effect is so wonderful.
It's a contagious
to see.
energy,
Yeah.
and I love it. And I could talk for hours about this, but
you start to build your, I call it load my bus. So I want to stay on this path of happy and healthy and feeling good and energetic. And I don't want other people in my life that are not on that same train anymore.
Right.
Like I get it, everyone has their moments, but they can get out of it. And I want those people that are willing to get out of it and are willing to be accountable. And I collect those people. I like those people. It's motivating. And I think when people start to have that own transition in their life, they tend to seek out others like that too. And it's very powerful. I have friends that I hadn't seen in years, and they come visit me, and they say, "Wow, you have such a great network of people." And I'm like, "But I created that, and you can too." I had to make a decision. Like, I want this type of person in my life, and that's what I'm going to surround myself with. Totally.
That's like saying you have such a wonderful garden, and you're like, "Where were you?" Well, yeah, I weed all the time.
Yes.
I'm like dealing with the soil. Like,
it's a great analogy.
Yeah, I work this thing. Yeah, it's like you guys, you're 4 years into this.
I don't want the downers. Like, you could be down, I get it, but tell me your role in that, and let's figure out how you're getting out of it.
Well, yeah, let's draw a line. Let's not have excuses. Let's step up, and let's take you on this journey.
Yes.
Get on the bus. Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell us about your book. I know you have this
so
this book coming. Yeah, this is congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So I started everything online, and but I always listen to my audience. So the first step, I never had done a hard copy product. The first step was my audience said we want hard copy DVDs. So I made DVDs for them, made everyone happy, because everything I do goes to what my audience is asking for. So with my recipes, and everybody's been asking for a hard copy book, and I was really excited to put this together because I reach a lot of people through my social media, but I really feel that what I've done has really helped change a lot of people's lives. I mean, not just with weight loss, just with so many things. And I think there is a gap in the education on what people need to do to get healthy. And it comes back to that information overload that I went through at the beginning, where, do you have to go on this crazy cleanse, or do you have to, give up there's so many rules on what you have to do to lose weight. And really what I did is I unprocessed my diet and unprocessed my life. And so that's what I did this book about. It's based on my original 7-Day Jumpstart, but it's all healthy, easy to make food based on unprocessing your diet. And it's all about addition, not subtraction. So it's not about never have these things. It's about what good things can you add into your life and into your diet to make you have energy, satisfy cravings and lose some of the weight as a bonus. It's all about that. And then I include some home workouts and things just to help people get started, coming from that mindset of where I was before.
I love that, because we live in a culture of orthorexia. It's like, I can't eat anything. Like, the water is polluted, the air is dirty. It's like, that's not helpful. So give me swaps.
Totally.
Tell me what I can eat. And it's a much more positive and encouraging way to go about it. So.
And my rules aren't like this black and white. Like when I say unprocessed, when I define unprocessed food, I'm saying anything that once grew, and that you can pronounce the ingredients. I'm starting with that.
Sure.
I didn't say like you can't add water to it. I'm not going to get all crazy with that. I'm just saying if it once grew and you can pronounce the ingredients, let's start with that.
Sure. Yeah, it's like making a samurai sword. The first few cuts are like really big, and then at the end it's just this really fine finesse thing. But like, if you're 40 pounds overweight and you just don't have energy and you're depressed, I mean, just unprocessing your food is like night and day.
Yes, and I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air to people, because it really is not that restrictive at all.
Right.
And it's about addition. It tastes great. People love it, and it's based on something I've been helping people now with for 4 years get tremendous results. So I'm excited to get this message out to more of the world.
Where can people find the book?
They can find it pretty much anywhere. I mean, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, any place you can get it. Or just going to nataliejillfitness.com/book. And I have all my bonuses listed up there and stuff, and talk more about the book. They can pre-order it there.
Awesome. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the book. This
Thank
is
you.
awesome stuff. I think you're a hero, and you are speaking an authentic language to people who really need
you.
it, and that's important. So, eating junk food, feeling sorry for yourself, back against the wall, debt, everything is caving in. What do? You step up, you do what it takes, and you step into your greater self. She started eating right, she started exercising, and she started being authentic in sharing that with the world. And that's what we all need, is a little bit more authenticity out there. TV sucks. The reason why the internet is growing is because we can have real conversations with real people, and she gets to be a real person, and there's millions of people on this journey with her. So what's your journey? How are you going to transform where you're at and the way you feel and the weight of your life into something, well, that's what alchemy is, right? Turning lead to gold. Natalie did it. What's going to be your alchemy story? Let's have it.